At the moment, our clinic is based at Hyde Hospital. In the near future, it will be moved to the new unit at Tameside. There will be nowhere to park, but we think it will have some advantages, so that will be and that service provides not only assessment and looking forward to treatment with drugs and so on, but also some involvement with memory information services for patients and for carers and support of that nature. At the moment, the dynamics of the clinic are a headache to us. Because in common with other memory services around the country, because of all the extra publicity, the numbers of referrals are going up. And we have to say that's good, that's very good. But it means that we're not processing people at the speed that is satisfactory. So I mean, I'm not going to tell you how long it might be. 9 months sounds a lot, doesn't it? But you will be seen quicker than that by the team, but the dynamics mean that sometimes decision making is ridiculously delayed. We had a meeting yesterday to say we cannot go on like this, so we have to do something about it. But that, I think, is a national phenomenon that people are now more aware. You know, the first strategy is working, but awareness is coming up. People are coming to the practices, and practices are coming forward. But the clinics are not, generally speaking, tooled up yet to deliver as well as we would wish. But that's just the first part, and some people would say the trouble with the memory strategy, the strategy, is that it has overemphasised the front bits. We think it's important to do that. We want people to come in early for early assessment, get into treatment and aftercare, because we believe that that will ameliorate things in the long run. So that's got to be good, hasn't it? It's got to be good. But on the other hand, and the marvellous presentations from Mr. Ashworth and the lady whose demo didn't get the ought to get an Oscar, tell you in the long run, once you're in there are all sorts of other things that you have to be worried about. We need to improve the quality of what we're doing in the community, and it's complicated because it's families, it's primary care, it's social services, and it's a whole lot of other independent sector providers that one's working with. And tying all that together is not easy at all. There's the provision of daycare services, the healthcare and the social care system of the independent care sector. And we've touched on people in residential care homes and the massive transition from being at home to being in care. I mean, many people would say it's very, very good if you can stay at home and be part of the family situation. That's often very difficult indeed, where you're living by yourself. And some people with dementia, of course, are in their late 70s or 80s, and they're likely to be by themselves. It's very, very hard to keep that going. The strongest support system often is a husband and wife, but of course, husband and wife both are getting on a bit, utterly devoted usually, but it does get difficult. And there often comes a time where it's actually right and proper to start to access residential accommodation, in my view, and one shouldn't feel that it's always wrong. I don't know if you saw the Iris Murdoch film. People see Iris, yeah. Iris Murdoch was a great authoress and academic intellectual who developed Alzheimer's disease, and her husband was also an academic. Devoted to her, living in a house, complete chaos. Just devoted to trying to keep her going, and books piling everywhere, and food here and clothes there and so on. But he couldn't, in the end, he couldn't do it. And the most moving part of that film for me, I find, I've been doing it all this time. I was sat in a cinema. There's a huge thing going on. And the thing that got me was when we got into a taxi with an ordinary bloke to go to a home, you know, and he just scoops him up, like with compassion and all that. And both of them knew they were okay. And they got into a home and they were okay. And her husband, of course, has written since how marvellous it was to be able to work with the people in that home. About 40%, at least 40% of people with dementia at the moment are living in homes, residential or nursing home, not in the community. So we must know that that's a big area to work on, isn't it? And as has been said, we worry that it's not as good as it should be. It's massively expensive, but it isn't as good as we want it to be. And how do we do that? How do we address that? How do we do it better? Part of the strategy is to do, actually, for the homes around the country, what Tameside are already doing. We are leading the field in that there's a group of nurses who work particularly with the homes, and Dr. Jeffries, one of the other consultants, works with that team. Now, they would say, we always say, we want to do it better. Well, that's marvellous, but I think we have made a little bit of progress there. And another place that ought to be a safe place when you're ill is the general hospital. Now, who looks on a general hospital as a safe place to go? And I can go into any room anywhere in the country and say that, and the common understanding is that I don't want to be in hospital, but it's a dangerous place, right? I mean, it's infectious, you know, there's infections there, and people know that you get in and you go into. I could be here all night, you've heard that, haven't you? When's the man coming? You know, these pathway stories, they really worry me. You know, because I know about garden paths, do you? Big red up and garden paths. And you know, and when I used to go to school, I used to watch the milk bottles going along at the Midland Counties Dairy, you know, going along, they get on, and there's no way off, is there? And they get a top put on and they get milk put on, and all that sort of thing. And you go into the MAU, and if you're still alive, they move you on to something else. If you're still alive, they move you on to something else. And if you're still alive, they get really annoyed. And if you really look at it, they send you to shy first. And you say, wow, I'm in heaven. But what? It's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible. And again, we've got the beginnings of a better service, because Donna's here, and although she's got several hats that she's involved with, Tameside has begun to develop a special service, liaison service for older people with mental health problems. And, well, at least half of those will be people with dementia, trying to get hold of things and rescue things. My own view is, it's not enough. Not enough at all. If I were a commissioner, what I would do is get hold of any general hospital by the throat and say, redesign completely so that you do things properly for people with dementia. And don't keep moving people about. Yeah. And have special areas where people have got special needs. Just like that. And the thing is, if it worked for people with dementia, it would work well for everybody else, wouldn't it? The rest of us. See, there was a friend of mine, because I've been around like that, called Peter Horrocks, and he had an alternative view. He worked in Hull. Had an alternative view of a good hospital system, and that is, whichever ward you went into, that's where you stayed, and that, of course, you would be admitted there. People would know about you there. People would care about you going home from there. Okay. And if you needed extra things, that's brought in. Yeah. But the bed, the nursing staff who know you remain constant, and the liaison with the outside world is there at the beginning, and it's there at the end. And somehow that message got lost. But what they demonstrated using that was it improved throughput immensely, it improved morale on the ward, it improved trust amongst people.
But did that not happen 20, 30 years ago?
It did.
Because
that's right, that's what Peter Horrocks
That's
what Peter Horrocks preached from Hull, and that's what people were prepared to do. So I would be, you know, what's going on is pretty good. But, you know, I mean, wouldn't it be great? You know, a new hospital, let's have sane, caring, humane approach to people with dementia in the general hospital. It's the biggest possible thing we could do. But the strategy does say we must make a big effort there. They're going to put in quite a lot of money to it, but it pays for the money that they've allocated would pay for one session for the consultant psychiatrist per general hospital. Which is, you know, it's, I can't use rude things, but anyway, if you were squirting water into the wind, it would. It's hopeless. One of the things is, I think, somehow, you have to have it owned by the acute trust. Owned by, employed by, it's part of us. Because, you know, we're funny, we're peculiar. We're Pennine Care, NHS, whatever it is, trust. We're on the same site, we don't belong to the same thing. They charge us more than the car park. They don't want us to park anyway.